morning, Stephen Roberts. We don't have him yet. Why? What is going on? Why we should have him? Let me just give you a little shout out because with the passing of Chuck Berry, at 9 o'clock, Art Holliday is going to join us. Art Holliday has been making a film for a number of years on Johnny Johnson and Chuck Berry, and Art Holliday is probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to Johnny Johnson and Chuck Berry. So Art Holliday, yes, that Art Holliday from Channel 5 is going to join us to give us some insights into the passing of a true legend. So that's coming up at 9 o'clock. And let me also say this. If you're driving to work and you're like, great, Millhaven, I'm at work at 9 o'clock. I can't listen at 9. That's why we have KTRS.com. Go to KTRS.com. We'll post this video so you can see it. We'll also follow us on Twitter and everything else, so it'll be up and out into the ether. So if you miss it, you can certainly watch it at your convenience. But we're going to learn some great things about Chuck Berry from a guy who knows quite a bit. So that's coming up at 9 o'clock. 7:51 here, Big 550, KTRS. Stephen Roberts, ABC News political analyst. Good morning, Stephen.
Hey, pal.
So where do you begin? James Comey, I guess, finds himself in the crosshairs again. Are we expecting some fireworks today with the wiretapping story?
I think so. We've been told at ABC that Comey is going to flatly say, either in an opening statement or in answer to questions, that President Trump was wrong in alleging that he was wiretapped by the Obama administration. Now, this is something that even Republican senators and congressmen have now repeatedly said. But this president, as you and I have discussed before, he never apologizes, he never backs down, he never recants, he never admits he was wrong. And even I don't expect him to say he was wrong today, but I do think that this is hurting him. You know, the Gallup has a new poll out this morning that favorable rating for Donald Trump is at 37%. That's abysmal. It's lower than any rating Obama had during his 8 years in office. And I think one of the things that's hurting Trump is this impulse to not only say things that are not true, but never admit when he's called to account. And look, I think his core supporters continue to be very enthusiastic. They continue to be very supportive. But beyond that core group, there is a lot of anxiety. You know, this guy got 46% of the vote last November, but a 37% of approval rating shows that even some of the people who voted for him are starting to get very nervous.
What does this do? What does this controversy do to the health care bill? Will Republicans start to leave him? He's going to start having to twist some arms. How does this hurt him with his agenda going forward?
That's a very good question. And I do think that the president continues to have some political capital. He's going to be on the road again today in Kentucky, trying to drum up support for his bill. But one of the questions is, do people fear President Trump? Does he have the ability to generate public support for his proposals that push members of Congress into supporting him? And that's very much up in the air. You know, I covered the Congress for the New York Times in the early years of the Reagan administration. And I remember Tip O'Neill, then the Speaker of the House, leader of the Democrats, saying to me over and over, I can't stand up to Ronald Reagan. He's too powerful. He's too popular. He has the ability to sway public opinion. And in the end, Congress, even though it was run by Democrats, wound up voting for a lot of Reagan's early budget and tax proposals. I don't see that same kind of public support, that same kind of reach and power to shape public opinion from Donald Trump that Ronald Reagan had. And that Gallup number has got to reinforce in some ways the confidence of his opponents by saying, does he really have the ability to go out and dominate the public debate the way Ronald Reagan did?
Stephen Roberts, there's a Trump supporter listening to this saying, so what, he tweeted something in the middle of the night about Obama wiretapping him. So what? We know he wiretapped the Chancellor of Germany. That's not that big of a deal. Let's move on to something more important.
Well, there are a great many Americans who voted for Donald Trump who would share those sentiments and say, you know, as one Republican member of Congress, Devin Nunes, head of the Intelligence Committee, said, well, if you take him literally, he was wrong. But the implication being that Trump supporters don't take him literally and don't parse all of his statements, that what they like is the overall impression, the overall attitude and idea of Donald Trump as someone who is a disruptor, who's going to shake things up. And are most of the people who voted for him still feel that way? I think the answer is clearly yes. But he didn't win a majority of the vote, and he lost the popular vote, and he got 46%. And you can't govern in highly contentious times by alienating large chunks of the populace. And the real question here is, can Trump expand his base beyond those hardcore true believers? I think they are still with him. But the polls show, and you see it on Capitol Hill, you see Republicans willing to disagree with him. Take just one example, which is the proposed cuts in Medicaid. You have a number of Republican governors who supported expansion of Medicaid under Barack Obama. Governors in states like Arkansas and Massachusetts and Ohio who feel free to oppose and disagree with Trump's proposals on Medicaid because they have their own constituents and they have their own beliefs about the importance of covering poor people with this federal program. You look at some of the budget proposals that have been made. You get an issue like cleaning up the Great Lakes. Governor of Ohio, furious. The senator's furious with Trump for proposing cutbacks in those kinds of programs. So I don't think at the moment Donald Trump has anything like the political clout that someone like Ronald Reagan did at this stage of his presidency.
Stephen Roberts, good insight. ABC News political analyst, joins us every Monday. Have a good week, Stephen.
Okay, pal.
7:58, Big 5.